Holy BD Wong, Batman! Tiki here, and man, oh man, I know next to nothing about the animated series. I'm just kind of going along, kind of with my flashlight here. And wait, in the distance, who is that I see? Is it Spider Noir? No, it's not Spider Noir. It's Blue Dragon 5. Blue Dragon 5. What could you be here to do? Man, oh man, I am lost in the trenches of animated series lore, my friend, and I need some assistance. Can you help me out, sir?
Well, rest assured, because you see, folks, long ago, I made a big vow, to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series. One could say, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham, in a way.
And tonight we are talking about the strange secret of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dragon, this was a good one. This was a big one, my friend. Kind of a double parter. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time we're seeing Strange, right?
Yes, this is the
I
very
hope.
first appearance of Hugo. I want to say it's the first ever appearance of him in animation, but it's the first appearance in the animated series, yeah.
Yay, my memory is right.
Little fun fact, he only makes two appearances in the entire DCAU.
Oh wow, huh?
They did something with him in the comics. They kind of gave you a little bit of a PS to this, but basically, in terms of what we see animated, it's only this and like a little appearance in Justice League down the line.
Okay. And Dragon, of course, more importantly, and for maybe overshadowing Strange in a way, this is the very first episode of the animated series that can be classified as a villain team up episode.
That is absolutely correct, sir.
So, Dragon, my thoughts on this, I really like this one a lot. I think that we got a really good Hugo Strange for what he is. I mean, he's not perfect, but I feel like he definitely fit that kind of like twisted mad scientist archetype really well. I really like his design, his kind of like hunched over quality that he has. And I thought the villain team up was fun. I thought Bruce Wayne was firing on all cylinders this episode. I love how this episode was mostly Bruce Wayne with a little bit of Batman sprinkled in. I thought that was a nice dynamic. I liked how much Alfred got to help in this episode. So overall, Dragon, I'm really feeling it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, this Strange Secret Bruce Wayne, this is absolutely a landmark one. And you're absolutely right, it does kind of get overshadowed by the latter guest appearances. Basically, Act 3 of this episode, I feel, is probably the most well-remembered part of it. I think this in some senses kind of paves the way for what we get years later in the Arkham game, where Arkham City, a huge staple of that game is Hugo Strange, and I'm not saying that everybody has to have seen this episode to appreciate Hugo Strange, but I mean if you kind of had Hugo Strange, of course, the main thing that he is famous for is finding out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. That's his big claim to fame. And again, I think this is again the animated series in just one episode. I think they accomplished a lot and really kind of cementing like, okay, here's what we're going to. Here's how we're going to tell that story in a way that hasn't been told 100 times before.
Yeah, it's nice that it's a standalone story and not just like his entire point of existence.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I gotta say, Dragon, just personally speaking, I do think the highlight of this episode honestly is the Bruce Wayne Alfred stuff, I got to admit. But beyond that, I really, really like Hugo Strange. The villains are just kind of like, don't get me wrong, they're fun. They're definitely fun, but we've seen them before. And I feel like with Bruce Wayne, this is maybe one of the lighter Bruce Wayne episodes that we've seen from him so far, in spite of the fact that it's dealing with somewhat treacherous subject matter. And with Hugo Strange, it's just something really interesting and different. And it's a character that, of course, we know very well through Gotham. And I'm also familiar with through Arkham City as well. I've watched all the Arkham City cutscenes and everything. So I definitely know that side of it as well. So, it's interesting to see this like one time take on him, this like one off. And I'm really into it. Like I said, the villains are almost kind of just like an extra little spice. It's like they're definitely not like the centerpiece of the episode for me personally.
Yeah, again, Hugo Strange is kind of another example of like he's like a pure comic pull, but again, a pure comic pull in that Hugo Strange kind of now and again they bring him back, but it's just overall as a character. It's like, okay, he had that one really big story where basically the episode kind of it loosely adapts that idea. Basically, there's kind of a two-part story in the comics where Hugo Strange finds out that Bruce Wayne's Batman, then he very historically dons a bat suit and he takes the guise of Batman and Bruce Wayne. He
Oh
gets
dear.
it's basically the idea is the really cool thing about Hugo Strange that again the Arkham game kind of makes into a better plot line, one could argue, is that he becomes obsessed with Batman to the point of dressing up like him. But Arkham City, it's more like he wants to fill the role of Batman. But again, like this show, it's like an obscure pull, but in that game, it's like a little not a cutscene, but it's a little Easter egg. Like in the interview tapes, if you find little interview tapes with Hugo Strange and some of the Batman villains, if you listen to the interview he takes with the Riddler, it's a Joker or the Riddler. I think it's the Joker actually. I think Joker calls him on he knows that he has a bat suit in his closet.
Oh God.
It's awesome because of course Joker would know that.
Oh.
Anyway,
Nice.
so this episode has a really fascinating little fact. This episode is really fascinating to you. I'm going to blow your mind with some stuff about the background this real quick here, but let me go over this the usual stuff here. So, of course, it's directed by Frank Parr, and of course Frank Parr is a familiar name. Directed Mad Hatter, The Underdwellers, and again, while there are some good ones and some nostalgic ones, there are also some infamous ones. Prophecy of Doom will always be kind of a blemish on Frank Parr's record.
All those other ones are very good.
I mean, look, Frank Parr, even outside of that, I'm always going to have reverence for Frank Parr. I mean, he did, a Hulk versus Wolverine. So,
sure.
That's why I love Deadpool, because of that. So I owe a lot to Frank
Landmark
Parr.
occasion. That's like you're walking into the Tiki room for the first time for me.
Absolutely. This is the writing is where all the fascinating backstory gets into this here. So this was written by David Wise, who very famously wrote the Clock King episode.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Which is really good. Now, here's where things get interesting. So this episode was actually rewritten. So David Wise originally wrote this episode, and then it was rewritten by a writing team, I believe a husband and wife team, Judith and Garfield Reeve Stevens. They wrote Dreams in Darkness. So I'll get to that in a hot second here, but just to highlight the animation studio this is yet another ACOM episode. So the thing with Season 2, the two things to note is that Season 2, of course, we had our villain team-ups, which this is kind of the first foray into that, and Season 2 kind of got big with some Lamb. Of course, once we get to it, Almost Got Him being probably the most historic villain team-up episode ever.
Are we relatively close to that one?
I want to say yes. I mean, it's in Season 2, and it's like we're kind of close to it. Right now, we're like Episode 9 in Season 2. I guess in the grand scheme of things, we're Episode 37, if you want. It depends how you look at it, but yeah.
37?
Yes, that 37, yeah.
All right.
For the kids out there, Kevin Smith's lucky number. For the adults out there, it means something else. I won't go into it. But yeah, so Season 2, of course, you have that. You also have Season 2 was the last stretch of the ACOM episodes, which as we kind of...
Are you saying that we've covered 37 episodes of Batman the Animated Series?
And a movie, yes.
But sequentially, how did we do that, Dragon?
In a row?
In a row, yes, that's what I was looking for. All right, thank you.
Oh, Mike Bellicast.
In a row? All right. I'm sorry, my indulgence in that gag is over.
Okay, anywho. Fine pull all the same. Anyway, point being, so basically the villain team must really kind of pick up steam with this episode going forward, and also as we kind of talked about with Cat Scratch Fever, this is when Bruce Timm kind of got fed up with ACOM, where ACOM, they weren't the A studio, they were really kind of low tier in that sometimes the episodes would be okay, range from okay to most of the animation errors would come from ACOM, and I guess Bruce Timm, he kind of progressively got more fed up with that, and I forget if Cat Scratch Fever was absolutely the last straw or it was like the beginning of the end, which basically petered out with a couple episodes we're going to get to in Season 2. So the point is we don't see any more of them past Season 2. Anywho, so ACOM, of course, they did Prophecy of Doom very infamously, but by the same token, they did Mad Hatter and Mad as a Hatter and Feet of Clay Part 1. So again, they have some decent ones in the lineup there. So take it what you will. So we'll kind of like ACOM, we hardly knew thee. All that going on there. All right. So let's see. So let me say this. So again, Denny O'Neil, very famously, Denny O'Neil, one of the great Batman writers of all time, Mount Rushmore of the Batman writers, if you will. Denny O'Neil, he hates these types of stories. He hates the age-old story with Batman. Very famously, it was quoted like, if I have to write over a freaking story about someone trying to figure out Batman's identity, he hates those stories. He does. And it's basically, so this is very kind of treacherous. Bear in mind, still we're in season 2 of Batman animated series, and again, this is like, okay, we're kind of getting we're doing a little bit more comic book related stuff, as we kind of have touched on a little bit in season 1. And again, this is kind of like, we have to get to this episode. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off, is kind of the mentality here. And Marty Pasco, who of course he's a comic book writer and one of the writers on Phantasm, he was kind of in the editor position, I believe. Boys, he was kind of bringing ideas to the table in the writers' room. So Marty Pasco, he wanted to do Hugo Strange. He wanted to breach the Hugo Strange story, and basically do a definitive. Okay, guys, let's just do one episode, so we don't have to keep touching on throughout the series. Let's just do one definitive. Bruce
Honestly,
Wayne is
I think that's a really good call.
It was basically a call of like, let's just do a definitive, kind of a twofold thing. Of let's do the one episode that lingers on the whole "Who is Batman" thing, but more accurately, more importantly, let's spin it as, okay, let's build to an event of, we have a story that cements, like plot wise, Bruce Wayne in the public eye is not Batman. We have one story that doesn't make it like, is Bruce Wayne Batman, but more so, okay, here's a story about, oh man, is Batman about to be outed? And if so, like, how is he going to get out of this? That sort of story. So that was kind of the, of course, inspired and kind of causally linked through Hugo Strange. So all in all, it was kind of smartly linked. Like, okay, let's just do this story, but let's link it to Hugo Strange so it has some credence in a story that's already been done. So they're making some smart calls there.
All right.
But still, no one's really thrilled about it, especially David Wise, until he learns that the Joker is in the story, and he was friends with Jerry Robinson, who created the Joker. Therefore, his interest spiked. And here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Last thing, we'll get right into it. So he was writing this episode. Act 3 was very different for this episode. I mean, it was very different. I mean, we didn't even go on vacation at all in this episode, man. That whole element of that episode, it was not there originally. Originally, what was going to happen
and
is,
honestly, Dragon, that element is one of my favorite parts of the episodes. That's crazy.
Here's the thing: the pitch for the episode, basically, it was all Act 3 is where things differentiate here. You didn't have Two-Face and the Penguin; it was just the Joker, and they went to Wayne Manor. The idea is that Bruce Wayne records a tape, and he basically finds out that he sees the entrances to the Batcave. And that's how he knows. So basically, he goes to Wayne Manor with the Joker to prove, like, I'll show you that Bruce Wayne is Batman. We'll go to the Batcave. We'll find him there. And basically, a Batman having accounted for this, he took measures to basically seal up the entrances or change the entrances. The point is, he switched it up. And Hugo Strange would be looking through Wayne Manor and trudging through all the entrances like a madman. And the Joker would say, "Oh my God, this guy is crazy."
Right.
And basically, it would drive him crazy. And it ended up, he basically wrote the script, and then the couple rewrote things and kind of added the vacation angle, and kind of added the the first villain team up of it all to the episode. So again, things kind of worked out for the better at the end of the day. I mean, we'll get into it when we get into it. I don't want to delay us any further. Point being that that's all you need to know about kind of like what the episode we could have had and the episode we got.
Well, once again, Dragon, I feel like I'm probably going to have to go on the defensive here, because this is kind of the gimmick of this, folks, is that I know nothing about any of these episodes. So, beyond the really big ones, like, the aforementioned Almost Gotham's, or some of the ones we've already gotten into, like the Two Faces and the Mr. Freezes of the world, I'm sorry, the Heart of Ice. Like I know of those landmark episodes. But these in between kind of like, not iconic episodes are the ones that I'm the most interested in, because I'm coming at it from a really just kind of a very objective point of view where, I don't have any sort of nostalgia at all attached to any of this. So I'm just looking at it kind of as a more casual Batman fan. And like I said, Dragon, I really like this. So this is definitely, I have a feeling this is going to be kind of an interesting sort of back and forth conversation we're about to have here. I'm kind of excited.
All right, let's get right into it. So we start the episode off with Judge Maria Vargas, who I can't remember. I know we see her in the series a couple times. I forget it. I believe we've seen her before, but I'm a
Judge
little dodgy on that.
Vargas! Judge
Yes.
Vargas!
I love that delivery too, man.
Yeah, I had a feeling you would, Dragon. I had a feeling you would. I know your taste in Conroy.
Yep. Okay. So to put it in context a little bit here. So Judge Maria Vargas, who the idea is like an honest judge in Gotham. Judge Maria Vargas, she's sneaking around a bridge. Batman observes from a distance. She meets these two blackmailer thugs, Snap and Numbers.
I love
Snap
numbers.
and Numbers.
I love numbers.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Numbers.
This is the exact kind of like ridiculous like Boss Biggs kind of character that I just kind of live for in these sorts of episodes of the animated series Dragon. These like really obscure one-offs that have like a very very simple gimmick to them.
Yeah, like Nitro from Point Man Crime Alley. That's what I love, like the obscure, like the old Dick Tracy names on them. That's
Right, exactly. Also, worth noting is some of the best cinematic qualities of this episode come from just Batman kind of sneaking around in the shadows. And I know that's like kind of an obvious thing to say, but I feel like this episode specifically gets it really right because he's really blended into the shadows in this. You see a lot of silhouette in this in this episode, just generally all throughout.
There is a money shot that I do drool for when we get to in terms of silhouette. You know the shot I'm talking about. You know it. There's one shot. I can't. Point is, you're absolutely right. The shadow work is tremendous in this episode. We're going to get to the landmark very soon. Okay, so she's meeting her blackmailers, Snap and Numbers, to exchange the money for her tape, the mystery tape. Whoa, oh my God, what is on the tape? And Numbers does his namesake here, and he lives up to it. And he runs the numbers.
Oh my God!
And I love that he just listens to the numbers. He can practically, he really looks at them, but he can basically, he basically is kind of seeing how much many bills are within the little wrapper, and it's 20. She's 20 grand short.
She's 20 grand short. Snap.
And now the price has gone up 100 grand. And then poor Judge Vargas here. She's like, I can't pay.
Yeah, you really feel the desperation on her.
Oh yeah, and of course, then I believe this is why you love numbers, right? You love this line.
Yeah, remind me exactly what it is.
Oh, you'll pay. I think Snap says, okay, oh, you'll pay, and then Numbers
goes, oh yeah, you make a mistake, you'll always pay. And then I think this is where the money shot comes into play, right, Dragon?
Well, no, mine's a little bit later on, you know.
Okay.
So this is a great
that's the thing, though, Dragon. There's a few money shots with Batman in this episode.
There are. This is a great entrance for him, though. Some might say, "Oh, it's a little corny," but it's awesome, man. It's just like you make us think. You always say, "My sentiments exactly," and from Shadow, he just kind of drops down. He kicks the guy in the face,
but not before freaking Numbers gets a chance to use his briefcase full of money as a weapon. Tries to hit Batman, but ends up hitting the other guy instead.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, scratch the kick in the face because I meant he hit the other guy in the face. I kind of jumped.
And I think I think the fact that he uses the briefcase makes it a lot funnier because it's like once again, Dragon Numbers has like maybe 20 seconds worth of screen time in this whole episode, but we do a lot with that 20 seconds.
We do. Okay, so anyway, Numbers, he tries hitting Batman with the briefcase, ends up hitting his buddy. Importantly, the tape goes flying out of Judge Vargas's grasp, and he basically it was flying across and lands on a steel girder, like on the outskirts of the bridge. And it's like she's very desperate to get that tape, and basically as Batman is fighting our thugs here, she desperately goes after it. Batman. Basically, as Batman goes to save her, the goons drive off. We catch a license plate. Oddly enough, they left the money, which kind of I gotta admit, years later when you look back, man, they really just left the money there as Batman's going off to save someone. It's kind of like they're going to get an earful from their boss.
Yeah.
Especially Numbers. That's his whole job. Anyway.
Well, that's why we never see Numbers again, Dragon.
Sure. So anyway, the vertigo begins to hit Vargas here. She's kind of like looking down, and she's basically she kind of passes out on the girder.
Can we just really emphasize how awesome the Conroy line is, though?
Oh yes, you're right. We got to
because
Vargas
it's in
as
context now.
yeah. So as she's like straying for the tape, as he's basically kind of taking care of business, like Judge Vargas, you don't need to go anywhere. But he kind of says it awesomely, Vargas, Judge Vargas.
And that's the thing, Dragon. That's the thing right there is that he doesn't just say Vargas or Miss Vargas. He says Judge Vargas. Dragon, I don't know. It's a simple like Boy Scouty thing, but I love how Batman has enough respect for this woman to call her by her proper title. I love that.
That's the
Even
idea.
in the heat of the moment, Dragon.
Because we learn she's an honest judge, which necessitates that. Of course, it's great.
Just the little details, and I love the intensity. Just like I said, just the pleasantries within the intensity.
I'm gonna go deep here because this is a Frank Park connect here. Again, Mad as a Hatter, of course. You have it's Batman in a situation where he's trying to save someone who again are doing something reckless within the scene. Where again he's trying to save the mind controlled thugs that kind of tried to rough up the Mad Hatter, tried to mug the Mad Hatter. Indeed, they got mind control, and they're basically gonna just go jump off a bridge. And I'm thinking of it. Oh my god! Like another episode with a bridge in it. There's a Frank Parr episode. What do you know? Point being, you have basically Batman trying to say, like, "Don't you understand? You're gonna fall." Basically, he's just trying to yell at people, "Let me save you!" He's just pretty much doing that. It's just pretty funny.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I love Conroy in like desperation mode where, it's almost like Batman kind of goes out the window and he's just like, it's almost like Bruce Wayne kind of slips in a little bit. You know what I mean? In these kind of moments.
Yeah, and what's so great about it, though, is that it's just kind of like it's Batman. It kind of has a mystery tone to it. Basically, this is Batman like in the thick of battle, detecting the mystery. So it's really cool. Like what is it's kind of his declaration of what is happening, but he's making it more dramatic and awesome. So.
Right.
Okay, anyway, so he saves, and I love how he saves Jizbar. Like just as Jizbar is about I love the slide off animation too. She just kind of slides off the girl, and Batman catches her at the last second. There, it's really cool. The tape hits the water, so that's where we leave her, and then Commissioner Gordon, of course. Yeah,
yes, big Gordon scene here, big Gordon scene.
Really nice bit here. Really, it's a subtle bit.
I even have in my notes like, hey, this Gordon scene's like twice as long as the usual Gordon scene.
So it's a nice subtle bit here where Gordon is comforting the passed out Judge Vargas before she goes, because the idea is that he cares for the honest judge. As Batman is showing respect to her, Gordon he has a respect because so few of them in Gotham, or at least over the years he's probably had to weed out all the corrupt ones. It's been a while,
And of course, Harvey Dent is a whole different can of worms.
Exactly, there's a whole there's a history.
By the way, I love how we'll get to it, but I love how there's a little bit of history between Harvey and Bruce in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we'll get there. Anyway, this is the money shot I'm talking about here. We have a Batman Gordon scene and the framing. This is what I'm drawing.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So basically, Gordon goes out to the bridge, kind of looking out on the bridge. As far as the passerbys are concerned, you have Batman like right to it on his left, one could say, in silhouette, with the cape flowing. You don't see Batman.
It's pretty damn iconic, Dragon.
Oh, animators love this, by the way, because they don't have to fully draw Batman in the scenes. It's kind of the black silhouette, so it's really they love it when he blends into the backgrounds.
I mean, it looks cool and it's easy to animate. What's not to love?
Yes. Oh, God. Anyways, the point is that I'm a sucker for a Batman Gordon scene, as anyone who's this deep into the series knows, I'm sure. But again, just in terms of framing, keeping it interesting, it's a lot of fun here. So again, I don't need much. I just need one scene like this, per episode, or like one scene every couple episodes, and I'll be happy. All right, so he says, I've known, Gordon's lamenting the Batman here. Says, I've known Maria Vargas for 20 years. And it can't be blackmail. Basically saying it's, basically she's so good, like he can't believe that it's blackmail. There was something on that tape that she was so desperate to, go up on a ledge for. She had to. And then Gordon's remarking, like, it's kind of coming out of nowhere. I had dinner with her last week. I love that, by the way. I had dinner with her over a week ago.
Ooh, what's going on with Gordon and Judge Vargas?
Oh God.
All right, I don't want to make a thing out of that, but
okay. Regardless, Gordon had dinner with Judge Vargas over a week ago after she got back from vacation. So importantly, again, some fun exposition.
She felt great, Dragon. She felt great.
Yeah. Let's see. So All right, so Jim gets the call in on his very 90s looking cell phone. It's kind of a cross between a walkie talkie and a cell phone. And again, this is kind of the compromise you make when you go for the timeless view of the animated series. You kind of make some, like, give him like kind of a 90s phone, make it look like a walkie talkie, you know?
I think it works.
It does. It does. I'm not complaining. I'm just pointing it out for posterity's
Uh-huh.
sake. So Jim gets the plate number, and the plate number connects to. And you actually, I believe, you can see like the initials on that license plate when that car drove by in the previous scene. It's Yucca Springs Resort. So now we have the link. So now we've linked Yucca Springs to the crooks. Therefore, Batman has a lead thanks to a Batman Gordon scene. All right.
I love how the last thing we see of Batman in the scene is like we actually see him come out of silhouette, and we see like the full body shot as he's rising up towards the Batwing.
Now, Tiki, since we did the last episode, I knew I remember this line was in here, but we kind of talked about it a little bit more in Cat Scratch Fever. There's yet another little breadcrumb along the Roland Daggett story here, and I love this. I really forgot how the connection is here. So Batman, it's a really good line here. Batman recognizes this Yucca Springs. That's a Roland Daggett subsidiary company.
Sure.
So I would wager, it's headcanon, mind you, but I would wager that Hugo Strange had a partner in putting this thing together, and that's Roland Daggett. I think that's why he's asking for all the blackmail money. I think he's trying to funnel the operation. That's how Daggett's staying in business.
All right, I like that.
It was a nice touch. Yeah, as little as is, just kind of keeping Roland Daggett as kind of a threat, even when he's not in the episode. Man, they treated Ed Asner good in this show, man. They did. Anyway, so then Batman has a Batwing exit, which is even cooler than the regular Bat exit.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we actually see how he exits, and it's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Actually, I'm trying to remember. No, I'm trying to remember if this is the first time we've seen the Batwing. I mean,
ooh, yeah, I was wondering that too.
No, it's in the Phantasm. I know that. I'm just trying to remember. Oh no, we've seen it. Feet of Clay. We saw it in the Clayface episode. We're all
okay.
Anyway, point being,
crisis averted.
Right. Anyway, so point being, so Robin is piloting the Batwing, and we have this fun exchange. Would you like to hit him with it?
Yeah, this is exactly why I really like this episode. It's like Batman's just like, Robin, do I look stressed out to you?
Get out of town.
Get out of town. Exactly. I think I need a vacation.
This is the fun back and forth dynamic with Batman and Robin. Rarely can Batman. One could say, if you want to look at the chronology of the show, one could say after the Kyoto Ken debacle, Batman's learned to lighten up a little. The whole like, thanks for saving my bacon, Batman. That whole thing.
Oh dear. Oh God.
Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe.
No, but it's just in all seriousness, though, it is just like a really nice, like, kind of fun Bruce and Robin sort of like exchange. Like, hey, let's go on vacation, because we need a vacation and we'll be doing research. Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, based on the fact that there's actual work there, I think that's why Batman can joke about it.
Sure, exactly.
The other thing, though, I'm going to note this, and again, it's not a major problem at all. I always want to point out, for me with Batman, it's always a little weird seeing Batman leave Gotham for me. Again, that's the one thing. It's always kind of, it's not an actual.
Now you know why I'm always bothered by that Hong Kong scene from The Dark Knight.
Yeah, but
That's something that you and I always go back and forth on. I think that's like the black, like Achilles heel smudge on that otherwise great movie.
No. I mean, like that's like there's like a brief visit versus a caper. I don't know. It's anyway.
Oh, it's a caper. The thing in The Dark Knight, it's like that thing goes on for like what, like 10, 15 minutes? That's
I really think you extend the runtime on. It's really not that long, Tiki.
It's at least half of an animated series episode, Dragon.
I don't. Okay, you look.
At least half of a single animated series episode.
Well, again, what I'm getting at, even with that said, is that again, it's not a deal breaker. It's just always a little. It's not weird in the problematic sense. It's just weird in the sense of it's a little odd seeing Batman out of Gotham.
Yeah. Anyways.
Again, back on point. So Bruce and Alfred, they're at the resort. They're at Yucca Springs. Bruce is going to meet Dr. Hugo Strange.
Okay, you know what's really funny about this, Dragon, is that I actually do enjoy this whole Bruce and Alfred out of Gotham story, and I didn't really enjoy the one in the Dark Knight, and I think it's because the one in the Dark Knight is contained within an otherwise very, very, very Gotham City centric story, and this one is just, pretty much self-contained, as most every animated series episode is. So to me, I think that's kind of the deal breaker.
Yeah, maybe it's kind of like looking at it versus like one contained piece, like the Dark Knight, versus just kind of like a general kind of consensus, or like a kind of like a general kind of almost like an unofficial series Bible for. I know there's actually a series Bible for Batman series. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a land. It's an unspoken rule that Batman remains in Gotham.
Yeah.
Of
But
course, like
I don't know. I really like all the Alfred and Bruce stuff in this episode, though. Like I said before, it's some of my favorite parts of the episode.
bear in mind, I was going to note this for the record for when we get to episodes down the line. One of my all-time favorite two-parters is Batman Out of Gotham. But again, that's what that whole story's about, though. That's the difference. It's not just like we start in Gotham and we go somewhere. It's versus really a whole episode that very much hinges on Batman leaving Gotham. So we'll get there when we get there. Anywho. All right, so Bruce is getting ready to meet Hugo Strange for his first session. The idea is, Bruce is going to kind of go there to size up the doctor, kind of sees what's going on here. He heard of the doctor being talked about, and of course, assuming the doctor is one and the same, that this lead pans out. Alfred has suggested laying out his evening wear, which is this really great suitcase shot of the bat suit.
I love the suitcase shot, Dragon. I love you. Like, we rarely see the bat suit just folded up nicely like this.
Mm-hmm. It's cool.
Like, usually when we see the bat suit, it's like behind like the glass case and everything. If it's not on Batman.
Yep.
All
really
right.
cool. All right, so we're at the first session with Hugo Strange. We have this. Basically, he's kind of giving Bruce the spiel about what Bruce is going in there all bon vivant, like hey, what's up, Doc? That sort of thing. We always do. So he's basically talking about what the process is Bruce is kind of being lined up for. It's a radiopathic monitoring device. It's a mind reading device where basically this little Bruce sits in the machine. These little diodes kind of like they go to his temple and they basically will kind of try to extract a memory and basically again through sci-fi-ness of it all. It's comic books, of course. It will be projected on the screen. It's kind of
I like this idea. It's insane, but it's kind of creative in like a Christopher Nolan kind of way.
It is. I want to say the grander reason for it, like the years later, especially like something like Arkham City, or like his other Hugo Strange stories, like the way you do this in the comics would be he would inject them with a bunch of stuff, like kind of a takeoff sodium pentothal. That's what you do, and injections, many, especially by a doctor, who would get into kind of like again as. I don't want to quote. I was going to quote like a historical reference here, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think the years line up, so I'm going to avoid that. What I'm getting at is sometimes injecting doctors injecting people, especially in the Saturday morning kids cartoon, could come across with sinister intent. Could come across the wrong way, I'd imagine.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised. Sure.
Right. Anyway, point being, it's what's really kind of neat about it retroactively, though, is that it's kind of a takeoff of perhaps, again, it's kind of a takeoff of perchance the dream, where there was a dream machine that the Mad Hatter developed, and now we're seeing kind of something that again is kind of tapping into us the subconscious and visualizing it through machinery. It's kind of cool and somewhat grounded.
Mm.
All right, so let's see. The idea is it's kind of going to work past the mind's defenses and really get in there, and of course, this kind of makes Bruce a little uneasy.
For when we do this, we create stress, do we not?
Of course, Hugo Strange's a lot of fun. You get basically now you get a taste of like what I'm thinking when we saw BD Wong as Hugo Strange. Just kind of like in essence, kind of the standard I was holding him up to.
And honestly, I think BD Wong probably surpasses this.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I mean, basically, it's kind of between BD Wong and Corey Burton. Sorry, Corey Burton, if I'm being frank.
Corey Burton? What is this, a Mandela effect, like Berenstein situation?
Funny, very funny. Okay. Anyway, so let's see. So you're basically spinning all of this as stress relief via technology, via a technological assist. Sorry, let's see. All right, apologize. Anyway, he gives the spiel of how the machine works, which we've already done, and it digs into his childhood and communicates basically the visual peak of Bruce Wayne's mind here. It's a little peek inside of Bruce Wayne's mind. It's a really great sequence here. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's really cool. And I like how Bruce is kind of trying to fight against it using kind of like general therapy tactics, like, oh, well, I don't really have much to say about my childhood.
Yes, Antique. What's so great about the scene on the rewatch is that you can see when he breaks, when he basically can't fight it anymore. He goes into the Batman voice, and you get to see it's kind of Batman coming out because he can only fight it so long. He's trying to maintain the Bruce Wayne of it all. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I love the floating gun in the alley and the floating heads, and it's all very surreal and
Yeah, I mean, just to lay it out a little bit, so like he's alone in darkness. We have, we see a storm that he
kind of
basically
like have
kind of.
a hellfire sequence with the graves.
Yeah. So we have like basically like a storm rolls in. We have Alfred the Umbrella, and we see Thomas and Martha Wayne, and then the floating gun basically chases them down the alley, and then we hear gunshots, which are transitioned to thunder, and we have sad Bruce Wayne alone in the rain as the rain falls as he's visiting the gravesite, which leads to the intense cemetery. I love the brick dust. That's what kind of led to the hellfire of it all, Tika. The brick dust. And all the tombstones kind of like popping up as if it were a raging fire, I guess. Yeah, it's really cool.
All right, so Strange goes over to Bruce to kind of confront him. Bruce is like, the death of my parents is no secret. Everyone knows about it, but no one knows that you feel like you are to blame.
Again, Tika, this is heavy stuff. We've obviously, again, remember, at this point in the series, like we've touched on this, and again, they haven't like outright. There's like not obviously we didn't do a whole episode where we see the whole affair go on because that's written in that's like carved in ivory, man. Like that's never gonna change. It's like it's like we're never going to see like the full on flashback of what happened. But we're going to like see how it affects Bruce and like these hallucination sequences, or like like the nightmare sequence in Dreams in Darkness, where he's running down like a dreamlike alley, or he's gonna like we get snippets of it. And yet again, we have another snippet of it. But importantly, we frame it for the kids out there. You feel it was your fault. Again, that line is like that's the universal. Like kids many times feel it's their fault. And again, you look at Batman as a character, it all hinges on what that kid felt years ago.
Mhm. So we get a scene that's literally fist pumping Dragon.
What's really cool is we kind of, again, we fill in the blank of the vow. Of course, a very big moment with Batman. Again, we never really see in the animated series, but again, we kind of see the formation of it when young Bruce Wayne is kind of alone. He's like pumping his fist in the air right there. Like that's like essentially him making the vow.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you desired what you needed. You had a need that needed. You had something needed to be filled. It was all consuming. What was it, Mr. Wayne?
And then this is where Conroy's kind of starting to crack, as you were saying.
I wanted them. I love this
I
visual.
wanted.
See a bat flying against the moon, and then that bat transforms into the score, and everything's just so great here. It transforms into the bat symbol with the gloved hand, really revenge, dun, 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 and you see Hugo Strange like shocked. It's the fist, the logo, the music. It's great. And then Bruce Lee, he's like removing the diodes and everything you're saying.
I would say that's probably the high point of the whole episode right there.
It's really cool. It's just, I'm afraid your relaxation therapy isn't working well. Oh, it's the first session. It's often very traumatic. You're just trying to rush him off at this point. That's the first session. It's it's often very traumatic. Tomorrow, yes. I'll think about it. Good day, Doc.
A good day to you. Batman. Cut to commercial.
Awesome. There's an act break for you.
Meanwhile, at the Joker's hideout.
I love Joker's makeshift office, by the way. And Mark Hamill very famously, ever since the animated series, he constantly gets people wanting him to record answering machine messages for him, especially when the series first came out. Like Jim Lee has a Mark Hamill answering machine.
Oh God,
it's really great here, and I always love this idea here. And one of my favorite answers, my favorite joke answered period for anyone, like if you need like a gag answering machine message, I love. Boy, do you have a wrong number. Leave your message after the shriek. And the idea to me, Tiki, is that he killed a man for an answering machine message. That's what I like to think.
What would you do for an answering machine gag? Would you kill a man? Well, yes, I would.
I know what you're pulling on that one, but we're not going to bring it up. Okay.
It's just important that you know.
Yep. Anywho, so the point being, we have like the clown phone and everything. Like, like, how did you? Like, no, no, ah! I trust I'm contacting the Joker. Yes.
Oh God, your number was not easy to find. This is Dr. Hugo Strange. I am arranging an auction for an item I believe you will find most enticing.
Also, a little gag. I love it has like photos of Batman, like all these knives and everything stabbed into
Yeah,
him on his
yeah, yeah,
desk.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you're saying, he's kind of a little bit fanboying it over it a little bit.
Yep. All right, let's see. So then, Hugo Strange, he's okay. So let's see. Hugo Strange is
Wait.
leaving.
Hold on. He gets in a car and is freaking Dragon is. Oh God, I already forgot his name. The
Numbers.
Yeah, Numbers. Is Numbers driving the car?
Well, no, the numbers is the both of them are there too. Both the same guys from
Okay.
before. So it's numbers and Snap. But before we get to that, see, remember it's like we have Hugo Strange leaving the grounds. I mean, they're all good. He's driving the car. You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's driving the
I
car.
just want to track as much of the Numbers screen time as we can get in this episode,
I know
Dragon.
numbers is holding the sign later. I know he's carrying the luggage. So he may or may not be driving, but he's in the car.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Anyway, so Bruce is training until Alfred gives him the go ahead. Okay, Hugo Strange is left, which means it's time to go in there and basically check out the machine, like he's going to inspect the machine because he has a bad
I love
feeling
how
about
Bruce
it.
Wayne is just like just doing doing push-ups, one arm push-ups.
Yep. All right, so let's see. So Bruce finds let's see. Oh yeah, so he finds file cabinets of tapes and copies of tapes, etc. And he finds a copy of Judge Vargas's tape, and he plays it. So we get to find out what's on Judge Vargas's tape. Tiki, what's on Judge Vargas's tape?
Well, we find out that and this is really kind of an interesting, kind of like morally ambiguous sort of thing here, where we find out that as a little girl, she was a little bit of a pyromaniac, and it's not necessarily malicious, but they kind of frame it as very mischievous. You know what I mean?
Well, I viewed it as like really the again. Take it's kind of hard to say because I think music just adds so much to these scenes. It really does.
That's what I'm
Because
saying, Dragon. It's definitely on the ambiguous side.
it is because basically I would read it as because the music accentuates it in such a way. It's that we're in her mindset as Bruce. It's like the way we felt stress as Bruce felt stress during that earlier scene. We're feeling it like Judge Vargas is. So she feels it was a really bad thing that she did. And it's kind of framed like that. And again, the way her memories are recontextualizing everything that, oh my God, you did something kind of horrific there, like the dropping of the match and just like the guilt in the music and everything. It really conveys.
Yeah, and just once again, a lot of good fire animation in this episode, Dragon.
I love just the way it falls. Like again, you see how it went so wrong. It's just like she's lighting the match and then just like it singes her fingers, so she drops it, and then it lands in the whole box of matches. Just like leads to the famous Gotham Docks fires.
Everyone's heard of the famous Gotham dock fires.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so then of course he finds the Bruce Wayne case, but it's empty. Of course,
Dun,
we have
dun,
another. We
dun.
also have a great Kevin Conroy delivery here with "It can see thought." So we got an empty Bruce Wayne case. Not good. All right. Meanwhile, a plane lands. Oh boy, I wonder who's gonna who's gonna get off and meet Ricardo Montalban this time. Fingers crossed. Anyway, no, sorry, ridiculous bull. Anyway, for those out there, watch My Dinner with Hervé if you want something vaguely topical with Fantasy Island built into it. That's actually really good. English aside. Getting back on point here. So Poe's plane lands, and we Joker makes his entrance. Joker makes his entrance. And what's really cool, basically, our villains make the entrance here, and I love how we have their musical themes playing with all of that. From the episodes, again, wonderfully, we've set up their themes in episodes before this. It all just works out so well as the Joker's up. Ah, uh, sunscreen, clean air. I hate it. Again, I will say this again. I want to make clear it's not a big sticking point that we're not in Gotham. I like that we're At least we're making the most of. Okay, if we're out of Gotham, we are playing the vacation vibe of it all here, like Joe. You take our villains out of Gotham, they're not going to enjoy themselves, not at all. Not even the Joker. They're creatures of habit. They're kings of that domain. Yeah. Anywho, so your point is like then we go to Two Face. Of course, they have the haunting Two Face. Like, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was getting. Yeah, my bad, my bad. Continue. Sorry.
All right. So Two Face gets off there, and it's just like, oh, they're the Doctor Strange better. Of course, they mentioned Doctor Strange.
Oh God.
This Doctor Strange better have a good reason for taking us in the middle of nowhere. And of course, we have the wonderful. Oh my! Paul Williams never gets enough credit. Nolan North is a great Penguin, but for me, the Penguin will always be Paul Williams when I think of him. It really will be. Just like the eruditeness to the voice quality of the Penguin. It's just I love it so much. Like, have you no poetry in your soul, my dichotomous friend?
And so we see a very conspicuous guy just holding up a sign that says, "Welcome, Joker, Two-Face, and Penguin."
Yep, and of course, like it's not the brown I care for; it's the green, as in money. And then when we see Numbers holding a sign here.
Yeah, Numbers is holding the sign and gathering the luggage. Dragon again. I love how Numbers is just like is just Strange's little patsy throughout this episode.
Yeah, actually, now I think about it, yeah, Numbers does get all the good lines. He does. He gets everything. I thought Snap might have gotten something. If Snap drove the car, that's about it. So Numbers,
Yeah, Numbers really is the standout between the two.
he's carrying Joker's bags. Oh man, it's like so. Why is the bag so heavy? What's in here? It's just why just what the doctor ordered. Let's see. So all right, let's see. So, okay, so Bruce is up to a plan. So, of course, Batman's working on a plan as we speak. Basically, with the memory machine, kind of needs to be alone with it for a few minutes here. Alfred's kind of being lookout here. He spots.
This is one of my favorite moments in the episode, by the way.
Go on.
Alfred being proactive.
Yeah.
Of course, he spots just Dragon. By the way, I just love how cocky these three just walk in like they own the damn place. Like, yes, we're the Joker and Two-Face and the Penguin, and we're just gonna casually just stroll on in here.
Well, remember they are they're the special guest of this evening. It's almost like one of those business. It's like one of those business retreats or something. Like one of those conventions where you bring in the.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. I just love how casual it is. It's like a business retreat that's taken seriously, but with these like really iconic comic book designs on these villains.
Yeah. So Alfred spots the trio of infamous bat foes. And Numbers drops the Joker's bag. And what's in the Joker's bag, my friend?
Bunch of money.
Bunch of money.
Bunch of money, like numbers. I can count all that money. I know exactly how much money it is just by looking at it for 1 millisecond.
Okay. I'm gonna throw this ridiculous backstory for Numbers at you. Numbers, of course, many Batman villains. Bear in mind, I'll take what we have with Numbers, but if you want to look at it in the other way of looking at things, Numbers. Many Batman villains have a defect about them. Perhaps Numbers. He's obsessed with counting money.
Well, Dragon, I think that's honestly, I feel like that's pretty much in the cards as we see it. Like it's subtle, but
No. What I'm saying, like, what I know that to you. What I'm saying is, like, what if that was? I'm saying, what if he robbed banks just to count the money?
Oh God.
What I'm saying, what if he was in it purely to count the money?
I like that.
I'm saying you can look at it that way, or you can look at it again. The direct way works perfectly fine. I'm just throwing it out there for being silly, if I'm being frank. But anyways, then
I think he's just like a little too preoccupied with numbers. You know what I mean? It almost kind of like gets in the way.
That's what it actually is. We're being
yeah.
All right. So, hey, Bucko, careful, or you'll lose your tip. Not to mention your head.
Numbers just kind of like quickly scoops the money back in. Like, I want to count this, but I can't.
So here's what we got to talk about here. So now we've gotten our three villains together. This is where we start to get into like the fun, and this is where they really, I would imagine. Bear in mind again, you got to remember that sometimes they write these out of order, so I can't say this is the first time. Optimistically, this is probably the first time this happens for the point of our point what I'm getting at here. One could say this is them writing something like, "Oh my god, we had such fun when we paired the villains together. Let's do it again with bits like these, where Joker turns to him and says, good help's so hard to find these days," and they go like, "Yeah, yeah." They all see eye to eye, like, "Yeah, it is hard." They're all in agreement. Let's see. So Hugo Strange. He now Tiki. This is something I meant to mention this during the background, but I mean, might as well bring it up here. That of course, when we talked about Batman versus Two Face, the Batman '66 sequel, the
Yeah,
last thing Adam West did, it featured Hugo Strange. One, he factored into that, but two, again, that whole auctioning the identity off idea came from this episode. Came from this.
true. I can see that. Sure.
See it in practice here, where Hugo Strange wants to auction Batman's identity off to the highest bidder. And again, a little bit of a again, it's kind of put into play in like 40 Detective Comics 471 and 472. Again, I forget if there's like a legit auction, but I think there is, but it's not as cool. It's not as streamlined as this. Let's say anyway. Sorry, getting on point. So the point being, Alfred overhears this, and then he's then caught by Hugo Strange, and poor Alfred then gets chloroformed.
You are Bruce Wayne's butler, yes? Yes. Most excellent.
Of course, if this were Pennyworth, he'd kick the crap out of Hugo Strange, but this is not that. I've actually watched most of that, by the way.
If this was Gotham, he'd kick the crap out of Hugo Strange.
That is true. Trust me, if it were Pennyworth, he'd beat him up even more brutally.
Wait. Pennyworth is already out?
Yeah. I have to wait until like another free trial to watch the rest of it, but I've watched 4 out of the 10 episodes, so.
Is it on DC streaming?
No, that's the thing. If it were, I would have watched all that. It's on Epics, it's the...
Oh, that's random as hell.
Yeah, I know. It's very inconvenient. Anyway, getting back on topic. So Bruce makes a tape. He then destroys the machine with a fire extinguisher. You know me, Tiki. I'm a sucker for when we can use a fire extinguisher in action context, which here we did. He is then captured. And again, ordinarily, it's like, how is Batman captured by numbers of all people? But then you realize, okay, well, he absolutely is part of his plan. He's to be caught, so it makes perfect sense.
Or maybe Numbers is just the ultimate archenemy of Batman, and this is like the origin. Numbers is the one person to catch the bat.
I will point out, Tiki, there is actually a Batman villain named Tallyman. So again, he's vaguely number related.
Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana.
Tallyman, if I recall, he was an accountant who went crazy. I want to say that he was an accountant who basically went trigger happy.
Wait, so are you saying there's an episode of this?
No, I'm saying in the comics there's a character.
Oh, in the comics, okay.
Who basically, I believe, was like an accountant who went kind of gun happy. I believe that's what happened.
There's absolutely no way I would ever be able to think of that character without thinking of that stupid song.
Right, anyway. So I think we kind of references again. I think they can only get away with this off screen. I mean, seasons later, we kind of get to firmly imply this sort of thing. But we mentioned Hugo Strange mentions that, and this is a really great line for Alfred here, where Hugo Strange mentions that your butler, he's quite loyal. I injected him with sodium pentothal, to eventually to get him to crack. So. Yeah, it's kind of a nice little show of loyalty for Alfred. It took a lot to get him to crack. It took some chemical inducement to get Alfred to roll on Batman. And this is kind of set up for a later episode where next time Alfred gets injected with sodium pentothal, he actually has a defense built in for it. So it's a little relative. And it's a minor thing, mind you, but you'll see. Okay, so Alfred, suppose Alfred and Bruce, they're captured, they're put in kind of a cell or kind of a room together, and poor Alfred blames himself. Oh, I'm so sorry, Master Bruce, I let you down. And Batman reassures him. How does he reassure him?
It's okay, Alfred. This is exactly where I wanted to be this whole time, or something to that effect. I don't have it word for word.
I mean, that's it, though. Yeah, so Bruce, he basically tells him, he assures him that it's all part of the plan here, almost as if he's from the A-Team. He's Hannibal Smith.
Or almost as if he's Heath Ledger Joker.
Well, I mean, sure.
It's all part of the plan.
How reassuring, just the sardonic Alfred.
All right, and that's exactly what I'm talking about, Dragon. I love this back and forth with Alfred and Bruce. I really do. Like, we have Alfred like really guilty and worried in one moment, and then Bruce just kind of like reassures him. But in that reassurance, we get cranky and sarcastic old Alfred back. You know what I mean? Just in the blink of an eye, and I love it.
Yes.
It's very natural.
Yes. Before we go any further, I just want to mention shout out somebody in the comments, Jen Millam. If I'm saying that right, just kind of chiming in with a little like, huh? Like, yes. Well, for folks who are not aware, we love talking about Batman the Animated Series via the animated Batcave, and yeah, we kind of do this on the regular, going through all the episodes. So by all means.
Yeah, if you just kind of randomly stumbled upon us and you like Batman, the whole gimmick of this show, as we already explained earlier, is I am a novice of Batman the Animated Series. Basically, the only episodes that I know are like the big iconic ones like Heart of Ice and Baby Doll and Almost Got 'Em and stuff like that. But basically, any others that aren't like instantly iconic, I really don't know anything about. And so, episodes like this in particular, the one Hugo Strange episode in the whole show, definitely something that I really didn't have any context for. So that's kind of the gimmick of the show. Dragon, of course, being a big fan of the animated series, is kind of guiding me through this this quest through Gotham, if you will. Anyways, yeah, pitch. All right.
Okay, so let's see. All right, okay, so Hugo Strange starts with the he just starts with the pleasantries for the bad guys, and Two-Face has no patience for pleasantries.
First, I would like to thank you for coming all this way. Get to the point.
Two-Face is in no mood, and the auction starts. So,
Two-Face is like the anti-Nick Ford.
Yep, and as this is going on, Brucey kind of picks a lock out of the turtleneck sweater to escape, and of course, Tiki, a little little Batman Returns of Keaton loved Keaton loved to rock the turtleneck, and of course, even in Gotham, Bruce Wayne, we always put him in turtlenecks, and again, we see the practical use of the turtleneck here.
Right.
Anywho. So basically, the bidding commences as he mentions. Like, we're here to bid for Batman's identity, and of course, they have a tape with the true identity of the Batman. The bidding starts. What is my bid? I love how jovial Hugo Strange is about all this. By the way, too.
He really is, man. It's like his plan is coming together, and he's enjoying it, man. He's someone who's enjoying the fruits of his labor paying off.
Absolutely. All right, so Two-Face. Two-Face starts off with 500,000, which then Penguin raises that bid to $1 million. And of course, Two-Face, because Two-Face has to, goes to $2 million.
I have $2 million.
And of course, we have hold it. Oh
God!
He gets right up to Two-Face. And Two-Face's response is, "Get out of my face, clown." Which one? He's like, whoa, that's an odd, rarely will I say it's a sick burn. Man is a sick burn. It really is.
Man. Oh! All right.
So anyways, then the Penguin mediates. He says, gentlemen, let's, it behooves us not to fight amongst ourselves. And the idea is, like, they've had their guns and everything checked to the door. Bear in mind, they didn't really account for the Penguin. Of course, having the trick umbrella, which is very foolish of them, I'll point out. Regardless, so the point of the Penguin's just kind of break up things. Excellent point, Sardine Breath. I suggest we pool our resources. And here's the thing, Tegan. This is like years later. Like, I wouldn't have caught years ago, or like on my various rewatches. But until you look at it with a fine tooth comb and really look at it, really go into it, does it make sense what they're doing here? Probably not. Is it cool? Yes. Do I care? I don't care that it's like. Does it make sense? Like, they're not just gonna kill Strange and take the identity, or they're not just gonna, like one's just gonna bid the other one. Like, why they wouldn't just like eavesdrop or refuse to leave? These are all semantical questions that do not matter. They amount to a hill of beans, to quote Bogart. It doesn't matter.
Oh God.
So
I totally agree.
It just leads to a really cool moment. This is a ridiculous idea. It's awesome. And again, we got to see this as well.
51,247,053
I think I should go over that number because I think we screwed up that number a little bit, my friend. No, don't take it personally though.
No, I did screw. I did screw up that number. Hold on, I have it. Sorry. All right, 51,240,685 and
53 cents.
I love the 53 cents. That's
I
a
love
great
it. It's like a little purple coin purse. I love it.
touch.
Oh boy! So then, and after the show, basically, so now he's like sold. He sells it to all three of them, like a little viewing party for the three of them. After the show, you'll be able to meet its star. And of course, it's like, yes, folks, Joker's being incorrigible. Like,
Hey, Dragon.
Yeah.
You have to focus.
Yes, Tiki. Another psychologically driven, mind associated villain. Well, instead of a cow, it's with a scratch it. Captain America sometimes wears a cowl. It's basically, if it's the mask, it's a cowl. If it's a helmet nowadays, I'm sorry, I'm drifting off into pointless things here. Let's just get back on point.
God.
Point being another kind of awesome hero. Okay. So let's see. Basically, as the show's about to begin, as we're trying to lock focus and everything, up atop, in silhouette, mind you, awesomely in silhouette, Batman is patching in a different feed and kind of makes a switch of the tapes here, right? Kind of changing the wiring, like where the main feed's going to here on the projector. So we reveal what tape do our villains see, Tiki?
Hugo Strange's tape.
It's basically Hugo Strange gloating over how I can make it's just so monologue-y too. It's just so over there. Let's love it over the top.
I love how this is his fantasy. It's just like his fantasy is just like, oh, I can imagine Batman to be anyone I choose, and these fools will pay a fortune for it.
Just love how how unsubtle Batman made Hugo Strange sound and all this. Just great.
He's definitely using the technology against him because, as we already pointed out, the technology kind of like, like inflates the mind. You know what I mean? It kind of like puts what you're thinking under a microscope and amplifies it.
The one thing, basically, is after this, and of course, Hugo Strange saying, "Wait, that's not the right tape." Basically,
First of all, I love how he's like, instead of like, no, the tape has been tampered with, he's like, it's not the right tape. It's like, well, yeah, even if it's not the right tape, you still don't want people to see that shit, dude. Like, the damage is done already.
this this to the end of the episode, Hugo Strange, is something rare that we get with this character. Hugo Strange, we don't get to do comedy with this character a lot. We get to do a lot of it here. Like the Corey Burton version of Hugo Strange is very severe, very serious. BD Wong, it's more like over time he kind of becomes a little more. He's having tremendous fun with the role. And he gets like to embellish on the accentuations of the lines and everything. And like when we get to '60s Batman, okay, to get a little bit more fun we can put there because it's '60s Batman. We're doing Hugo Strange. Why not? So it's kind of fun. It's kind of the point of Genesis. We can do a serious character, like a serious threat to Batman, but also kind of make things a little funny as he himself is kind of karmically put into a very precarious situation himself. It's all relative. So we have a really awesomely the Penguin was tremendously underrated in the original animated series because everybody basically everyone was always. I've got Batman in my basement was always a very unflattering portrayal of the character in many people's eyes, and everyone's like, well, he has the DeVito design, and we have that unflattering first appearance of the character, and people never look past it because you have moments like these that make me love the Penguin, which is like, fellow miscreants, we've been had, and he leads the charge, get him, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think obviously, I feel like he gets overshadowed by some of the other villains in the show, but you're right, when he's there and when he has his moments, they are very memorable for sure.
I mean, he's especially when we get to something like Almost Got Him. He's great in an ensemble, no question. I think that's where people had their fondest kind of reflections on him. But overall, I think it gets over. Yeah, it's kind of the curse.
And also that one episode where he gets a girlfriend. That's one of the ones I actually know about.
That's a good one. That's what I'm talking about. That's a very underrated episode. People forget about that one all the time. Anyway, getting back on point here, we have like Joker out this awesome thread here. I'm gonna use your head as a bowling ball, Strange. Get him. And anyway, so they're all going after him. Hugo Strange is very obvious liar. He says, like, I should have known not to deal with the likes of you. And they're like, duh. You dope. Did you hear the Joker's answering machine message?
Right.
But of course, you'll know, I caught this on the rewatch, like, getting ready for this. Do you notice that the Joker's armed with flowers?
I did not notice that. No.
When they're running after him, again, they had their weapons stripped from him. So basically, Penguin has a sword under his umbrella, and Joker's running behind him. He silly pulls out some flowers from under his jacket, like a bouquet of flowers. It's kind of silly. All right, so Hugo Strange grabs the money. He flees to a plane. He's chased by the rogues in a car. Batman. It's Alfred being very proactive, as you said earlier, Tiki. it's
Yeah, Alfred's driving the car, man. He's providing the transportation.
so simple, but it's so kind of neat. Where Batman just hops on the cars. Alfred's driving full speed ahead.
From the airport.
Yeah. We called Rob and asked. I called Master. I called Master Grayson as requested to the airport, Alfred. All right, let's see. So, right.
So Strange tries to get on the plane, but it's too late. The villains confront him. Guns aimed at him, by the way. The classic animated series Tommy guns, which I love.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So now Strange is. They beat him there. He swears it was the wrong tape.
Again, I don't see how that's helping your point.
Exactly. And again, this might be. Again, this is where this is the third act of it all here. We're again third act. We have our villains, which is great. Unfortunately, we're in kind of a situation here. Well, I mean, he can't. We have to. He has to be up a river, and he can't quite explain the rationale to them. So we have to make lines like that. So I think it's kind of what happens there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course,
time to fly the unfriendly skies, Hugo.
And oh god, Joker. We have Joker in this like this World War I pilot getup.
Oh god.
Oh, it has like the wings and everything on there.
And I believe he's wearing a Crunchco or a Cruncho.
Yeah, like Cruncho cereal. Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea is, I think the gag, the thing to infer is that okay, so he got his pilot license from a box of cereal.
Yeah, yes.
All right, so Batman later they've only had Joker. Joker can fly a plane, but he can never fly it well. It's kind of a running gag in the whole of the DCAU. He can never fly well. So Batman leaps from the car onto the plane as it's taking off. Really cool. Joker treats. I love how Joker taunts Hugo Strange, who clearly is afraid of flying. And Strange. This is where we get to one of the great moments of the episodes. Plays off the Two-Face of it all, Tiki, where he pleads like, "Please, Joker, understand." What does he say, Tiki?
Bruce Wayne is Batman.
What's the payoff?
Two-Face is just like, that's absurd. I know Bruce Wayne.
If he's Batman, then I'm the King of England. And of course, Joker. To me, Tiki, one of like the great. If you ever need to do a Joker impression, like one of like the cell lines, like one of those lines, kind of get the voice sounding right in your head is, and people say I'm crazy. The whole thing. Which again is kind of like the one line that remained from that whole Act 3 of like where he's just saying Hugo Strange is crazy, like, and they say I'm crazy. That whole thing is probably like the one carryover from that. Now I think about it. Anywho, so again, you're absolutely right. It's so great to see that Two-Face thing paid off. It really is. Just the fact that, again, he does know Bruce Wayne. Again, if that were ever brought up to Two-Face of all people, he would doubt it. It's a logical.
Exactly.
All right, let's see. So Batman, as Hugo Strange is in deep trouble here, we also have the Joker saying, "Gee, Harv, it's hot in here.
Is it hot in here, or is it just me?
Harv, open the door for a breeze, would you?" And
meanwhile, Penguin's just like regally stirring his tea, watching the whole thing unfold.
Yep, and just Howard Hamlin's like in the plane too in the background. Just
of course he is.
Tea, would you? I'll take a pot. Anywho, so Batman's pulling the fuel lines, and basically as they're about to push Hugo Strange out, thinking Joker's taunting the man unrelentingly. It's classic Joker here. He says, "Remember, it's not the fall; it's the sudden stop." And of course, now the fuel line's been cut, and the base of the fuel line's been pulled. Now the plane's going down. Things haven't been the same since deregulation. It gives like a goofy laugh on the way down. As they're all going down, ending on a gag.
So essentially, he launch pad quacks it.
Absolutely. So Batman, he grapples through the canyon. This is what I'm talking about. When we take Batman out of his zone, it's like he's grappling on tufts of rock. It just feels wrong.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Again, not a deal breaker. It's like it's just not as cool as it usually is. But it's each his own.
I don't
Anyway,
know. I kind of like the change up.
so Batman, he grapples through the canyon to safety as the plane crash lands. Joker does this parachute guy. Basically, Joker jumps out with the parachute at the wrong time as he jumps out of there. Let's see. Batman tells them to stop where they are. Of course, Penguin and Two-Face, they go for the Tommy guns. They're quickly disarmed by Batman with a batarang, and then the police blimp shows up.
Another awesome shot, by the way. The police blimp, kind of like the spotlights and everything. You really get the sense of the scale there.
Absolutely.
Oh well, Arkham is nice this time of year.
He's cuffed, and then we have Jim telling Batman that basically, you have the Gordon Batman scene where she's Maria told me everything when she woke up, and Batman kind of basically Batman coming in with the moral. I love this sort of stuff here. Batman comes in with the moral that's now like spelled out to us, like you saved the animals like before, but it's a better moral here where it's like the fire was an accident. She had nothing to fear from the truth, which is nice. It's a good moral for the kids out there. So.
Yeah, for sure.
And Hugo Strange comes in gloating over. And again, when I was watching this for the first time, I was like, oh no, Hugo Strange knows the secret. Like,
I was just like, oh god. I was even getting a sense of that, Dragon. I was like, oh my god, he's literally about to blow it to Gordon. This is like a big deal right here.
I know, as a kid, I was like, oh man, how is Batman going to get out of this? All the episode. If we're going to do this story, let's do it right and do it once. We're like, oh god, how's Batman going to get out of this?
Right.
Where basically Hugo Strange is gloating over a secret, like, oh, I know your secret, though. I know you set me up. You switched the tapes. Basically, in essence, he's spelling out for the kids out there who may not have, like, how did he actually say that on the tape? Or no? Okay, even Hugo Strange is saying, no, you switched the tapes. Where, yeah, in retrospect, he should have said that to the villains earlier, but again, we need an episode. So, how do we save the day here, Tiki?
Well, in walks Egast, Bruce Wayne, and Batman in the same scene, in the same shot. What madness is this, Dragon?
This is a wonderfully trippy shot. Now, it's like
it really is.
I'm sure ever going to see this in the animated series. You're going to see Bruce Wayne and Batman. Well, again, second the perchance the dream, will you see something like this?
Sure. But this is like not within the context of a dream sequence at all, though. That's what makes it even more trippy.
Absolutely. So,
ironically, it's more trippy because it's not in a dream.
So let's see if I got it right. It's Bruce claims that he knew. Basically, Bruce claims that he knew the machine could read minds. So Bruce, I think Batman told Bruce Wayne that the machine could read minds. So it kind of looped in Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne was happy to help because Maria Vargas was a friend of his. Again, the idea that Gordon and Bruce run in the same circles. Again, like the way they met Harvey Dent is probably the way they met Maria Vargas, being the idea. They probably met at some charity.
Sure.
They get honest people they gravitate towards being the idea. All right, let's see. So now my old point. So Hugo Strange is then taken away. Gordon's like, okay, let's go. You'll have time. Basically, Hugo Strange's like, what? It's just like, what the? It's like Daffy Duck. Daffy Duck with the little mallet and like the bam bam, this sort of thing. Like, what is happening here? So Gordon said, you'll have plenty of time to think about it in prison. So for me, I always, my little headcanon, of course, classic, what we know about the whole Gordon Batman dynamic is that Gordon, this is like the animate's just kind of acknowledging subtly that, Gordon, he absolutely could put it together that Bruce Wayne is Batman. But again,
yeah, for sure.
This is adding the deniability in there. Whether he's put it together from this or again, this is enough for him. Either way it plays. I'm just saying it's feeding that fire. Like, he could ask the question, but he's not going to. All right. And I got to mention this too. So I've always loved to think in my own headcanon with Hugo Strange. I've always loved to think if this episode takes in like any regular continuity of Hugo Strange that he addresses that basically Batman pulled the wool over his eyes and said that, hey, the way he exposed him was not the way it looked. Basically, Bruce Wayne and Batman in the same place at the same time, that sort of thing. I love to think this drove Hugo Strange off the deep end to that I'm going to dress up like Batman level of crazy,
Mm-hmm.
that he became obsessed with. Like, I know the answer, but no one will believe me, and I can never prove it because he's always going to be one step ahead of me. That's what I like to think personally. And there was actually a sequel. They intended to do a sequel for this episode, but it never got off the ground. It was going to be called Mind Games, where he was going to kidnap Robin. He was going to kidnap Robin, Batman, and Alfred, knowing who they are, and try to erase their memories. That was the idea, using the Dream Machine. Well, using the machine. Any point is that never happened. Like, for posterity's sake. All right, what happens?
Okay, so we just see Bruce, Batman, and Alfred, and Bruce is just like, hey, maybe I should stop the crime fighting gig and stick to Hollywood. And then we pull off the mask, and it's Dick Grayson, egad! Very convenient, very realistic Bruce Wayne mask there, Dick.
Kind of pulling a Scooby-Doo there. And by the way, that whole mask thing, that is from that original Hugo Strange comic where he was wearing a Bruce Wayne flesh mask to prove that it was crazy. Point being, they kind of pulled a little bit of that Scooby-Doo trick there, too.
Gee, at least now I don't have to walk around with these leg extension bracelets.
And by the way, so classically what happens, we've done this in the 60s Batman TV show, we've done this in the comics a few times. Traditionally what happens, Tiki, is usually Alfred's in the Batsuit. When they need Batman and Bruce Wayne in the same place at the same time, usually Alfred's in the Batsuit. But again, they wanted to play a little bit more straight, so they put, I think they smartly put Robin in the suit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah, well, of course, the leg braces also feel a little Scooby-Doo exposition bit too. Like, wait a minute, do we need him? Do we need to say that he's not as tall as Batman, or do we really? It's like a semantical thing, you know? It's like we need to show that it's manufactured, all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then they're heading home. Like, where to now? Home, Alfred. I've had enough vacation to last me for a long time, and that's the episode.
Right, so yeah, Dragon, I do stick by the fact that I mean, it's not like a big landmark episode by any means, but I think there's a lot of fun to be had here. I think here's the thing, the sci-fi technology at play in the episode, it's not perfect. It's really not. There's a lot of holes you can poke at it with with the reading the mind and everything. But I think it's an interesting enough concept to make for some cool sequences. I like seeing Batman in a more kind of like light frame of mind. I think this is honestly one of the better Alfred episodes that we've come upon so far in the series thus far, just in terms of how much he gets to do and how proactive he is. We already established the villains are really fun, and we have a little hidden gem in Numbers in this episode, and he's going to make rewatches of this episode probably a lot of fun for me. So yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff to glean from this one, Dragon, and I feel like this episode is a good kind of indicator that we're on the right track with the series, because I'm not necessarily like, I don't have any sort of preconceived notions at all with these episodes. I don't know what's considered good, what's considered bad, what's considered the best of all time, what's considered middle of the road. So it's exciting for me to kind of just go in and formulate my own opinions like that, and I look forward to doing more of that in the future.
Yeah, keep it simple. Again, as to echo some of my sentiments earlier, it's, again, the episode, we use Hugo Strange in a memorable kind of one-off capacity. It's a clever way to handle a Bruce Wayne is not Batman cover-up plot, the whole, like, in handling, like, is Bruce Wayne Batman, that sort of story. But again, we just got it out of our systems in a fun way, with kind of the appeal of like, hey, it's the first villain team up too, so we're gonna have that going for us too. So even if we're just kind of like doing a by the numbers, like, is like, let's talk about the dual identity, and then like kind of the way it's been tackled many times before. Okay, obviously we need to keep the status quo, so the identity's not going to get out, but we made it fun, made it interesting, made it maybe not interesting, but made it a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It allows us to get in the Bruce's head in a brief visual way, and I mean, sure, semantically, maybe there are a few things that don't hold up as well when you revisit it. But this is a case of who cares? It's too much fun. It's neat, and again, it's an episode about. I think the deeper way to look at it is it's an episode about the motivations that drive choices, with the whole, the Judge Vargas of it all, and kind of like, why, Bruce became Batman, with, and kind of a little glimpse at things there. It's very psychological in that regard. It's not a whole psychologically dependent episode, but it has those psychological touches that kind of add a little gravitas to it, and kind of like, again, the I wanted revenge. You get to see kind of like you hit those little tonal beats that I think kind of resonate, as well as kind of like the cool sci-fi appeal with the machine, and then of course the fun with the villains in the third act. It's got a lot going for it. It's very solid. And I'll just say this: it's kind of the tip of the iceberg for season 2. Like, this is where we're going with, like, okay, this is a fun, really cool episode. People always talk about this episode because, it's like the one time you see Hugo Strange in animation before, like, years and years later with something like Arkham or the '60s Batman cartoon, or I guess the Batman for the other people out there have seen that. It's like it's one of those rare touchstones for him. But again, it's like the tip of the iceberg of us doing next level things for season 2. That's the best way to summarize this episode. Like the tip of the iceberg for a really extraordinary season 2.
All right. So give us some Dozier Dragon.
Technological terror on the rise. A briefcase versus Batman. Barbara Gordon. Can Batman escape the clutches of Hardak? Or will he be rendered obsolete? Find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
With Heart of Steel, Part 1. Next time on the animated Batcave.
I played the wrong tape.